Hi there. Kent Brindley, the vintage animation and action figure nerd here. And tonight I present the honorable mentions for my top 10 episodes of She-Ra, Princess of Power. There are several honorable mentions here. So this is the appetizer, because you know the main course is coming. Let's get started, shall we? Let's shall. I want to start by talking about a childhood favorite known as the Laughing Dragon. Sorrowful's very first episode, and it was on one of my very favorite tapes to rent when I was little. Sorrowful very much earned his name for the timidity of this giant dragon, but he very much earned his stripes by driving off Leech and Mantenna, thanks to She-Ra's teaching with some help from Cowell and Bow and Cast Spell. It wouldn't be Sorrowful's last appearance. It was definitely, far and away, his best. It is most iconic. Crystal Castle. I really wanted to put this episode in the top 10, but it was just never one of my favorites. And I can't even tell you why. I mean, Shadow Weaver is even eviler than usual in this episode, let alone more powerful. Plus, it was the very first time that She-Ra entered the Crystal Castle and met Light Hope. And Light Hope's appearances were way too few and far between. I mean, Light Hope was to She-Ra what the Sorceress was to He-Man, and then Light Hope rarely appeared. It was... and that was kind of strange to me. I mean, it also introduced Ago and the Trolls of Spikeheart, and they would make other appearances as well. Again, it's a classic episode, so it was just never one of my favorites. It never hit the right notes with me. But it has to be at least an honorable mention for introducing the Crystal Castle and Light Hope. Bookended by Madame Razz, my childhood favorite character, telling the story, and yet somehow keeping She-Ra's secret identity, because we know it's because, of course, at some point Adora became She-Ra, or the fact that Madame could tell this story, and as we saw it, She-Ra obviously found the Crystal Castle. That could be the conundrum there. Three Courageous Hearts. 4 if you count. Wait a minute. No, it was 3. It was Madame, Broom, and Cowell. Madame and Broom were treated as 2 people. This was their time to shine. I mean, Cowell was always known for his timidity. Madame was known for messing up her magic. And Broom was always just kind of there as Madame's companion and her mode of transport. But first, Shadow Weaver shatters their confidence in themselves, and then she puts everyone in Mysticor at the time to sleep, including She-Ra. So Cowell, Madame Razz, and Broom are the only heroes left. Time for a hero's journey. No, wait a minute. No. She put the other rebels to sleep. She trapped She-Ra in I think the fourth dimension, she called it. Yeah. Black Snow. Black Snow was my lovely lady. Frosta's time to shine. She had been a background character so many times, this was her moment to shine in the episode The Black Snow. Yet what stood out about The Black Snow was She-Ra's battle with Multibot. Not because it was one of her tougher challenges, but because for comedic timing, her fight with Multibot was one of the best in the series. That was one of the best scenes in the series, just for comedic timing, for how clumsy Multibot really was. What a klutz. Red Knight. The Red Knight could have been a better episode. Let's not even talk about Hordak's laser bubble blaster, or meant to trap the rebels in giant bubbles. I mean, toddlers blow bubbles. Come on. But let's talk about the identity of the Red Knight. I mean, the entire episode, it's Queen Angela. His voice is so familiar to her. She knows him from somewhere. Red Knight, my queen, you will know me when Etheria is free. Let's knock this off, alright? I mean, it's gotta be Glimmer's father, Angela's husband, and Bright Moon's king. Am I right? Hello, the events of Micah of Bright Moon. No, it is not. And that is where the Red Knight fell from the top 10 list. It worked my imagination up to the only logical conclusion, and then it failed me. Into the Dark Dimension. Into the Dark Dimension was an opportunity for She-Ra and Hordak to work together when the Dark One trapped them down there. It wouldn't be the first time that She-Ra had... oh, wait a minute. This was the first time She-Ra had to help Hordak, and the two really had to work together. It just wasn't the best episode of She-Ra having to help Hordak. Stay tuned. That answer is coming in another video. But I mean, some of the back and forth between She-Ra and Hordak and Into the Dark Dimension is just gold. And it points out really how goofy and how stupid Hordak sometimes was. Just some of his misspeaks in this episode are just... Anchors Aloft. Anchors Aloft was a fine Seahawk episode and a fine two-parter. It just really wasn't a She-Ra episode. It was about Seahawk. Admiral Scurvy, though, was hands down one of the better Horde villains, and I really wish we'd seen more of him. I mean, he looked like a ghoulish Mick Jagger with a mechanical eye patch. That was just great. And while I loved Squall, the overweight fat cat, the eye patch, I mean, I love cats, but his doting over Squall kind of took something away from how devious Admiral Scurvy was. Think of the wicked stepmother doting over Lucifer and Cinderella, and you've got the idea. Except Admiral Scurvy was supposed to be a hordeman. Flowers for Hordak. This season 1 wrapped up with comedy gold. I mean, Hordak kidnaps Perfuma so that Shadow Weaver can, I think it's trap the Whispering Woods in a giant endless eclipse. Except Perfuma's power would allow things to continue to blossom. So what does Perfuma do with her time in captivity but decorate the Fright Zone with flowers, teach the Horde troopers to dance, and drive Hordak to the point of A, literally banging his head against a wall of frustration, and B, giving Perfuma back, if with the stipulation that Shadow Weaver lift the eclipse. I loved the comedic timing of some of these episodes, and Flowers for Hordak was comedy gold from beginning to end. Talent for Trouble. Talent for Trouble. If this was a top 12 list, Talent for Trouble would have belonged on it. And I honestly don't know how it fell off of a top 10 list. I loved Talent for Trouble when I was little. I would recognize it immediately anytime it came back up in rotation on USA. When USA had picked up the broadcast rights in the late 80s. Orko lands on Etheria, and this is his first time meeting She-Ra since he wasn't part of the storyline of Secret of the Sword of She-Ra. But Orko's bumbling lands him on Etheria, where he promptly meets Madame Raz, a fellow witch and a fellow magician, whose magic is also a little mixed up, and they are promptly taken captive by Mantenna and presented to Hordak. It's up to He-Man and She-Ra to save the day, so we once again did a He-Man and She-Ra episode out of this deal, and it is one of the more classic ones. Just to see Madame Raz and Orko side by side, and it was great. It's a great thing to see. Just how they play off of one another. It was also the only time that the Mantisaur creature had ever been animated in She-Ra, and it looked pretty cool. I mean, the dialogue and the fight scenes to me as a young child were great. In fact, it shared that VHS with the Laughing Dragon, the one that I had to rent all of the time and actually wore it out at least once. Wore that tape out. I mean, it was repaired, but number 11. What would have been a great number 11 if this had been made the list would have been the Seahawk, and I should have made it number 10. I should have made it part of the top 10. Adora has very recently just left the Horde when she meets the Seahawk and has to convince him to quit delivering goods for the Horde and to fight for something with the rebellion. All of the lessons that were so difficult for Adora to learn, she now has to teach to the Seahawk. We have not seen the last of the Seahawk. He is the faithful companion to Adora and a valiant fighter alongside She-Ra. It was his very best appearance, hands down. It even edges out Anchors Aloft, which took 2 parts to tell. Again, it should have made the top 10, and I don't know why it isn't. Lost for words. And this is the final honorable mention. And again, I should have ranked it higher. I don't know why it isn't. But Hordak and Shadow Weaver literally take the voices of opposition away from the villagers. And that was exactly how vindictive the Horde could be at times. It was one of the finer examples of just how evil the evil Horde was. To literally take the voices away from those who would oppose them. Including taking Adora's voice, of course, with Hordak being none the wiser about what he's just done. You know, that could be my problem with this episode. I loved Adora. Melody Britt's voice acting, when she was trying to convey frustration, could get rather difficult to listen to. And of course, she was rather frustrated when she was trying to say, "For the honor of Grayskull," and got nothing. So what we overhear is her thoughts, and that plus the whole gimmick of trapping the voices inside of Imp in the form of a treasure chest was a little goofy. But I mean, it was the goofiness of mid-1980s Filmation mixed with and played against just how evil the evil Horde really was sometimes. That's it. Those were my honorable mentions. You know, there's a far better list coming eventually. Stay tuned, my friends. Subscribe if you want to see more.